9 News at 9 starts right now.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Clark.
I'm Alexandra Lewis. Tonight we learned a high school student is one of the 6 people who died at an incident at a dairy farm in Weld County. Investigators say they believe they've been exposed to toxic gas.
This is last night at Prospect Ranch Dairy near Keensburg. That's where we find Shalima Maharaj. And Shalima, what do we know about what happened last night?
We have learned that one of the 6 people who died here, they were actually a student at Highland High School. Now, the school district says that this tragedy has had a deep impact on the school community, but as we've learned today, it's also had an impact on the small town of Keensburg.
It hurts. I mean, again, we're a small town that's very close-knit.
In Keensburg, the news is still sinking in.
Right away, started contacting a few people to say, is everyone okay? What can we do to help?
Tara Dreiling was finishing up at work when she heard sirens.
I said a quick prayer because that's also the time our kids get out of the high school from activities.
Dispatch battalion 3960.
Southeast Wildfire was called to a confined space rescue here at Prospect Ranch Dairy, east of town. 6 men were found dead.
I've never heard of losing 6 people at one time in our community.
The Weld County Coroner's Office says they're investigating whether it was the result of gas exposure.
You have confirmed 5 reported unconscious victims approximately 12 feet down with possible high levels of H2S and unknown gases.
A highly toxic gas that can come from decomposing manure.
I'm a workman's compensation nurse case manager, so that's kind of where my mind goes to, is with these kind of workplace tragedies.
Aaron Lamb doesn't just work on workman's comp. He's the mayor of Keensburg.
So anytime anybody experiences this kind of loss, it affects us all.
He says the town of 2000 will ultimately feel the weight of this week for a while.
The people of Keensburg mourn the loss of these residents, whether they're in town or just a couple miles out of town. This is very terrible.
Now, the Weld County Sheriff's Office says they're not investigating this as criminal. In the meantime, Occupational Safety and Health is investigating whether any safety standards may have been violated. Live in Weld County, Shalima Maharaj, 9 News.
Hydrogen sulfide's a colorless gas, a byproduct of the decomposition of manure. It's highly toxic, and in high concentrations, it can cause a person to stop breathing. As far back as 1990, federal authorities were warning of the dangers posed by hydrogen sulfide. A report in Successful Farming magazine indicated that between 1975 and 2021, at least 288 people have died in incidents in and around manure pits in this country. The cause of these latest deaths in Weld County is still under investigation.
A wildfire burning on the western slope has exploded in size. The Derby fire is now over 2,600 acres. That's 3 times what it was yesterday. It's burning uncontained north of Dot Cerro on the Eagle-Garfield County line. We talked to one man who was working over there when he was forced to flee.
We could watch the whole thing growing and exploding and in front of us as we would see big, 100-foot flames, trees, the hillside, but also big, almost like tornadoes within tornadoes, as it was twisting, turning.
Fire officials say one building has been lost in the fire, but they can't say whether it was a home, business, or maybe something else. Mandatory evacuations for a fire burning in northern Colorado have been downgraded to voluntary. The North Lone Pine Fire started west of Red Feather Lakes this afternoon. It's burned about 2.5 acres near Deadman Lookout. The Forest Service says it's now 25% contained.
Let's bring in 9 News meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen now as we suffered through another hot day. I mean, we can't have many days this hot left this year.
Yeah, in fact, we may be saying goodbye to the 90s for a while. This new weather pattern that starts really tonight could take us into the first several days of September, and then climatologically, we're only dealing with 3 weeks of September where we can get those 90-degree days. So Man, that's really refreshing news for sure, especially when you look at this map. These were the high temperatures reported today: 95 in Denver, 99 in Fort Collins. That destroyed the old record of 96, 103 out in Grand Junction. That old record was 99. So we had records falling left and right. We have a cold front sliding through today, just now into the area. The really big push of cooler air is going to come tomorrow morning. So these temperatures won't be impacted too much, but we're going to see the rain start to develop. Not too much during the day, isolated stuff until the evening hours. That's when we'll see our best chance for rain. I'll detail all that coming up in the full forecast.
Once again, bodies have been found improperly stored at a funeral home in Colorado. This time it was in Pueblo, and it was at the county coroner's privately owned mortuary.
This is the first major case to unfold under this new Colorado law meant to bring oversight to the funeral industry. 9 News reporter Ria Jha joins us with that now.
Yeah, lawmakers said that this case proved the need for oversight, and that, they said that Colorado's notorious lack of regulation around funeral homes is kind of created this magnet for bad actors in the industry, but they say that they're hoping that this now is changing.
Inside the Pueblo County Coroner's mortuary, a horrifying discovery. Nearly 20 decomposing bodies, some left there for close to 15 years.
This was the first annual inspection of this facility, a new requirement.
It was also the first real test of a new Colorado law regulating the funeral industry.
The law is being applied the way we wrote it, which is not always the case.
Republican State Rep Matt Soper and Democratic State Senator Dylan Roberts were two of the main sponsors of the bill that passed last year after a string of scandals like this one exposed how little oversight Colorado had over funeral homes.
It's horrible to hear that it's still happening, but at least we're getting to the bottom of it now.
In this case, the room with the bodies had a strong smell and was hidden behind a cardboard display. According to Dora, Pueblo County Coroner Brian Cotter told inspectors not to go in there.
What was happening before is owners of funeral homes were able to basically say no when a state regulator showed up to conduct an inspection. So he wasn't allowed to keep them from coming in like he would have been in the past.
The goal of this law is to restore trust in a system that lawmakers say has failed Colorado families for too long.
Cases like this certainly set back efforts to restore public trust in those elected offices of county coroner, but also in the funeral industry.
When they're at their most vulnerable time, they shouldn't be thinking about what's happening in the back room of the funeral home.
Lawmakers know many funeral homes operate responsibly, but they say finding problems so soon after implementing the law is concerning.
Unfortunately, if this is being shown up in one of the very first inspections, there's chances that there are other things that will be found across the state as more inspections continue.
In most states, coroners are appointed, but here in Colorado, they are elected, and it's not uncommon for them to have funeral home businesses on the side, like we saw with the Pueblo County coroner. So lawmakers are now saying that's something they might be looking into regulating. Reporting live at the Capitol, Ria Jha, 9 News.
The stabbing of a park ranger at Staunton State Park now appears to be a hoax pulled by the ranger himself. Jefferson County Sheriff's Office says Tuesday morning, 26-year-old Callum Heskett radioed for help, said he'd been attacked. The seasonal ranger gave a description of a suspect, so out went SWAT and drones and patrol deputies searching the park. They ordered people nearby to stay inside. And Jeffco investigators said they started to pick up on inconsistencies in the ranger's story. They arrested him today. He's in the hospital. He'll be booked into the jail when he's released from the hospital. He's facing several charges, including false reporting. Parole risk assessments in Colorado could mean the difference between life and death for both the person who is supervised out of custody and new victims. They are among the most at risk in the state to commit a crime. And yet, to date, the state cannot tell us why it keeps making error after error on how it assesses just how dangerous these folks are.
For months, 9 News Investigates has examined how Colorado assigns risk levels for each of its 8,000 people on parole. Tonight, Chris Vanderveen talks to the man who helped design that system, looking for answers as to what's really going on.
Questions result in points. Points add up to scores. Scores outline risk. Risk determines level of supervision. If you want to know how Colorado assesses its inmates and parolees alike, you now know.
If we get it wrong, people's lives are at stake.
Brian Levin says errors should not go unchecked.
Having an assessment that's inaccurate is maybe more dangerous than not doing an assessment at all.
You ought to know. Years ago, he helped design the very system Colorado's Department of Corrections uses today, a system he likens to a doctor's decision in a hospital.
It sets up every other interaction and intervention within our system. And so if we get the wrong assessment, we're doing the wrong surgery.
Wrong surgery, wrong scores, wrong outcomes. The correctional equivalent of medical malpractice. And we've seen multiple errors on multiple assessments of offenders who went on to reoffend in violent ways.
Hi, everybody. So I might be one of the only people in the world who actually enjoys public speaking.
Who's Morgan?
She was a great daughter and amazing lawyer.
Morgan Hamrick was a magnet.
She would make people feel special.
Pulling others in, the force unseen yet obvious.
I think that she impacted so many other people's lives that her loss was not ours only.
Her parents know last year's story well. Man on parole ran a red light and hit Morgan's car at a speed no less than 60.
I'll always have anger towards him. I want to forgive him, but it's hard to forgive someone who just doesn't care.
A month before the crash, Mitchell Nyberg missed a required drug test. 2 weeks before the crash, he missed another. Hours before the crash, his parole officer warned him not to miss any more. Right after the crash, Nyberg told a paramedic he was a meth user. Syringes were found in and out of his car.
I was super confused. I didn't understand how somebody that was on parole could get access to a car, drive it without a license, high on meth, and be able to kill her while he was under supervision.
Under supervision, yes, just not a lot, considering the state considered Nyberg just a moderate risk to reoffend. 9 News Investigates discovered errors in his assessment scores date back to his time in prison. In 2018, for example, his assessment correctly stated past problems with health due to drug use and past gang affiliation, 2 points. The next year, the answers changed. No on both, no points. We've seen variations of this story repeatedly.
I feel like now I am her voice and she has to live on through me.
Last year, Denver police say Kelsey Roberts Garrity died as a result of a single bullet fired from a gun held by a man on parole.
It's just very hard, and it makes me sad when I think about that, because a piece of me is gone.
We showed her sister the 4 errors we found on the latest assessment done for the man charged with a crime, Ernest Cunningham. 2023, age first began regularly using alcohol under the age of 17, 1 point. 2024, 17 or older, no points.
That shouldn't change. Yeah, it should have never changed. It shows that somebody messed up.
In 2024, Cunningham missed 2 drug screens, failed 2 others right before his parole officer said he rarely takes risks.
I feel like those failed drug tests were definitely risks, taking risks.
Who is Zell?
He's my grandson.
What happened to him? Leanne Harness
He was murdered.
talked to her grandson on the phone hours before he died.
Zellian was my hope, you know, to take over the house and have the property and build a life for himself.
9 News Investigates found at least 6 errors on the prison assessments of the man now accused. After D'Angelo Lurks was released on parole, we found more errors on his assessments. Question 1.6, has community supervision ever been revoked? 2023, yes, 1 point. 2024, no, 0 points. But those are scores that shouldn't change.
Right. And it's a lack of common sense is probably the worst part of it all.
Curiously, a parole officer said she completed this assessment 3 days after the murder. Lurks wasn't yet a suspect, but notes we reviewed say he never met with his parole officer that day as he texted asking to push our meeting out. I'll push it out to next month, his parole officer replied.
It makes no sense.
Accused of killing 2, errors here. Accused of killing 2, suspected of killing 2 more, errors there. Accused of fatal hit and run of cyclist, errors. Accused of stabbing multiple people on the 16th Street Mall, more errors. Our list of problems is growing.
It's absolutely important that the assessment itself is done well over time.
The man who helped design Colorado's system says, this is not how this is supposed to go.
In the hands of people who aren't doing it well, it could actually really have a negative impact on their ability to make communities safe and help people change.
Neither the governor nor anyone with the Department of Corrections has agreed to answer any of our questions on camera. It's been that way for months. The Department of Corrections will tell us in writing, at least, that it made a series of errors on all of the assessments that were outlined in our investigation tonight. In addition, it says that it's going to expand the auditing process of everyone still on parole, all of those assessments. That's going to take some time to get to the bottom of, and as a result, we still don't know how many assessments were done incorrectly. Because of that, we're going to stay on the story. Chris Vanderveen, 9 News.
Well, after another hot day, the weather pattern is changing, and it starts right now. We have a cool front sliding into the area right now. We have a few showers, nice showers across the Front Range right now, but the main push of cool air is lagging about 12 hours behind it, so that should be here by about 9 o'clock tomorrow morning or so. It won't have too much impact on the temperatures. We're not going to see a temperature drop with this cold front. In fact, the temperatures may still rise into the middle 80s for tomorrow, but this front will be exclusive to the northeast part of the state here. That's where the temperatures will be lower. Still hot in the southeast, still warm in the mountains, and still very hot on the western slope. 100 degrees is the forecast again in Grand Junction. This front will also trigger some rain and thunderstorms in the area. During the daytime hours between noon and 5 o'clock, it's going to be isolated, so a little bit less chance of catching one of those storms. Your rain chances and storm chances go way up after 5 o'clock, so 6, 7, 8, 9. That's when we'll likely see one of those heavy rain showers here in Denver. And we also have a chance to see some severe weather tomorrow. There is a level 1 severe risk for 1-inch hail and 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That could be generally with those early isolated showers, but the evening showers could also have some hail in them. Let's walk you through future cast here as we start out tomorrow morning. Isolated stuff during the daytime hours, so you could catch a storm in there, but really after about 7:30, the rain chances really start to go up here in Denver, and there's a good chance that somewhere in the tomorrow evening we'll get a pretty heavy rain shower right here through the Denver area or somewhere else on the Front Range, as that's kind of the focal point of this next event as we go into the day tomorrow. Now, the weather pattern is flipping. So this front tonight is just the very beginning of it. So one thing you notice with the 7-day forecast here in Denver, no 90-degree days. In fact, tomorrow might be the warmest at 85 degrees. Rain chances at 70%. Saturday's a little bit more isolated, so not as much coverage on Saturday, but then it goes back up on Sunday, and I think all the ingredients are really coming together on Monday for the best coverage and the heaviest rain. We have a potential weather impact day for widespread storms and isolated flooding, and we stay cool with rain chances all the way through the end of the week.